Hello, welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate Stuff. Man, Papa P's internet is horrible, but that's all right. Blurry creature out in the internet there, but welcome everybody. If you're not following us, please go subscribe on YouTube so you get the notifications for these lovely videos. Got an exciting episode today. We'll kick it off with some updates. How's life going, guys? Anything exciting happening?
Papa P, rap to us. Can you hear us? Can you see us?
Is my internet bad?
We got the videos.
Your video's horrible.
Yeah, the video's a little off kilter there. But we're good. I'm good. Good week. Getting ready for a couple back-to-back travel events, wholesaling live in San Antonio. If you guys are there, was talking to somebody in Texas who's hopefully buying a ticket to just getting started wholesaling. So hopefully we'll see him there.
Good place to go get inspired by that.
It is. They got some good speakers there as well. If you guys check out wholesalinglive.io, I believe is the link. Brady from the Carrot team speaking there. I saw they just added Mike Hambright, who will be speaking for Investor Machine. RJ Bates. We'll see some Investor Fuse customers there, like Aaron Bevins. So I'm excited, getting ready for that, and then have Family Mastermind the week after that. So getting some things in order on the home front here, just in the office, knocking some things out, and then we'll be on the road a little bit.
Very nice. It'd be great for you to travel where you can actually walk.
Yeah, it's another thing. Got the brace off, so I have no brace, no crutches. I'm just really letting my hair down this week here. So excited for it.
Well, I don't have good news.
Oh no. I was waiting to hear.
You know, I've been a big proponent, of like just being real with things. So like I've been pretty active on Twitter recently and sending them over to Instagram, which I've noticed, by the way, getting off on a side tangent. Whenever I started sharing my tweets on Instagram, my engagement has gone way down. Who they're showing my stories to, because like I have the same like 100 or whatever some people like watching my stories, every day, and then like I start showing my tweets and sharing my tweets, and I find it funny because I feel like they're doing it because of Threads and they're noticing that I'm doing that. My engagement will be like 8 fucking people for like a whole day, and I just know from all my other posts that I share, and when I used to because I used to type whatever I tweet now, I used to just type in the Instagram content story thing. And I was like, well, why am I doing that? I'll just do it on tweets. And ever since I started doing that and sharing it, I've noticed Zuckerberg has been like, nah, bro, you're not using Threads.
Oh, yeah. That's not I don't think that's a coincidence. Was it? I think we were talking about here, or I heard on somewhere, TikTok literally has part of their staff that just watches videos and they choose who to make viral.
I believe
They'll literally just put.
Listen, I got no complaints with TikTok.
They play the strings of just like who they want to blow up, and like they just choose to reward people. They're kind of just like knight people or kingmake people.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's not coincidental that if you're not using, Threads or the correct platform, they'll kind of
especially since I'm sharing it over.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't know if people saw, but I posted, I was like, so I had sent out, and listen, like this guy he's had his park on the market since like March. This is the one that has gone through a wholesaler has had people. I'm like the 4th guy. Everyone else has backed out, or like changed their mind or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, like he was considering seller finance. So like he wanted like 1.45. Long story short, went out there, met him, made my offers. He countered me back. I countered him back. He didn't like my counter. So then he had another buyer they were going to sell it to. Well, that buyer found another deal. I'm still waiting around. So last week I was like, hey, listen, like we're $1,000 apart on a monthly payment. Let's meet in the middle. You would think like, that would be pretty much fucking it. I'm giving non-refundable deposit, all this stuff. So I was making a strong offer because I like the park. I just do. I had a gut feeling about it. And it's all private utilities, private well, private septic, which in the mobile home park game people don't like, but I don't mind because that's my background in Florida. We have a lot of that down here in Polk County. Anyway, he's supposed to get back to me Friday. Friday, he's like, Friday, he's like, well, can you send me it officially on paper instead of just through my agent? So the agent told me, so I sent him a formal updated LOI. Tuesday comes along, he says no. He says, hey, he told the realtor. And the realtor's like, do you have a reason why? And the realtor's like, nah, I don't. Or the guy was like, no, just put it back on the market. He's like, so do you want to walk through his LOI line by line? Tell me what you don't like. I'll get him to change it. And the guy's like, no, just put it back on the market. Realtor called me and told me that. And I was like, you know what I feel like? I feel like he's just put me on ice because I've been sitting around for like so long. Like he just thinks he can get a higher offer. He was asking 1.5. We had agreed upon $1 million. I got him down $500,000. He wants 50% down, so let's put $500,000 down. But I think he still thinks he could get the 1.4. And it's like, fine, bro, put your house back up, put the park back on the market. Like I'm not, because if he had a problem with it, he would have straight up said, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. It's not
Right.
he just say he told the realtor, no, thank you, just put it back on the market. Meaning he thinks he can do better, which is mind-boggling because he's had like 4 other people walk this property and back the fuck out, and it's like. So anyway, I thought I was gonna get that one, and I did not. I really thought that one.
That's the one where like the agent was the first time doing this, and they didn't realize that they had a wholesaler that was the buyer.
Yeah.
Okay, that part.
He's a good guy, man. And listen, like I have been negotiating through him, so like I have been walking him through like my seller finance stuff, like how I write the LOI, like. It's all possible through a realtor. You want to know why? It's not that he has any experience per se in parks or anything like that, but he was just willing. He was excited. He was going to double in. You know what I mean? Like I was communicating with him, so we were on like a team. He was transaction broker, so both ends of the deal. So like he was representing me as well. So I mean, I had no problems negotiating my seller finance stuff. I was just extremely surprised that me and the seller had gotten to every single term, with the exception of monthly payment. We were $1,000 apart. I say to split it in the middle, and he's like,
and he said no.
Nah, bro. So there's something else. You know what I mean? And that's fine.
Yeah.
He wants to put it back on the market. I'm looking at one, and I just made an LOI in Alabama. I'm getting some details on one up in Kansas, and I'm just gonna keep moving.
Ooh, Kansas.
Bro, Kansas ain't bad. Kansas, Topeka.
Interesting.
So.
Well, you'll get one.
Yeah.
Doing all the right activity for it.
But it goes back to what I was saying about being real. It's like, like I was watching the guru influencer, and they're like buying another rental, buying another this, and they're like, here's my house. And it's like, that's cool and everything, but like, what about all the ones you didn't get? Mm-hmm. What about all the offers you made and didn't succeed? And like, that's what you don't see anymore. And it's like, they just show you the highlight reel. No one's like, bro, like I've been rejected. Like I'm at least posting like, got rejected again. It'll happen a few more times. So.
Yeah, it will. I had some interesting conversations around A2P this week. So we talked last week about A2P coming down.
I want to say this publicly. John, you were right.
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
You were right. They shut my texting down.
Told you.
So you were right. Low volume or not. I meant to tell you that the other day when we were meeting, but there you go. It's fully public. You were right. I was wrong. They shut that shit down, and it's messed my business up. Like now I'm scrambling. I can't text off my smartphone.
I haven't been texting either.
It's messed our mobile home park stuff up. My PPC leads because I double tap text. I can't now do the tap text. It's jacked all of our shit up right now.
But you put it in on the last Friday call, right?
Yeah, they rejected that. They rejected that one.
Interesting. Did they give you a reason why?
No, I've done 2 more, and I don't think they're.
Papa P's just getting rejected on deals left and right here, and not getting feedback. Why? Like, throw my man a bone here. Tell him what he needs to do.
But through the rejection,
texting has happened to me.
I endure and I move forward.
I know.
All the rejection.
The good thing is the campaign approval goes a lot faster than business profile approval. So at least you're in that phase where they should accept you soon.
I'll find out. I think it might have to be. I don't know if Carrot has it. This is a good platform, and I didn't mean to hijack your moment there, John. But maybe you guys, if you know anything, you speak to if Carrot is going to do anything with an opt-in section on the website. Yeah, because I'm gonna need. I'm a Carrot user. Everyone knows. Go buy your Carrot site. I've been a long-term Carrot user. I think that's what it's going to come down to. I've been reading a lot of Facebook and messages, and they're all saying that.
Yeah. Hang on one second. It's interesting though. The people I just talked with, same problem. They got shut down, but they don't have an opt-in in their website, and they got approved.
I don't know. I'm waiting.
Individual people that are like looking at it.
So I took your advice, and for the A2P, I did 2 campaigns. So I did one for our mobile home park tenant stuff, and made that a campaign of like, hey, these are our tenants, blah blah blah. And I gave them messages like, hey, example messages. And then I did the other one of people who call into our company. Like that was what do you call it? The description. People call into our company, then ask for a text confirmation verbally, like, hey, send me your information via text. So I did 2 of them to see. I don't know. We'll see.
Interesting. Well, so my A2P news is, so not only like we were talking, like you're legally tied into what you're sending via the text messages, and they now like are associating your phone numbers and saying, the messages that you're sending are coming from this brand, which makes it easier for them to shut down. So I want to make the point clear that just when you get approved doesn't mean that you're good to go, nothing to worry about, all is hunky-dory. So once you get approved, you then need to start watching what you send in your text messages. So I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole this week, kind of looking at some of this, and I need to publicly publish some of this next week for all InvestorFuse customers. But you need to watch what you're sending in uncontacted sellers. So you get a new lead in, they submitted a form on your website, they checked, I want to receive the text messages. You still have to watch what you're sending in those messages to them until the conversation starts happening. Once they're texting you back, then they're like, okay, this person does want to receive these text messages. You still have to watch
they know that
about language.
So the carriers know that.
Yeah, and so there are a lot of spam filters that are being automatically applied to text messaging and being reported back to that phone number. So I have a little list of words here of things that you should not be sending to sellers if they have not messaged you back. Once they message you back and they start talking to you, that it's fine to send these messages, these words. But until that point, do not say
the word. Sure? Are you posting it? Are you posting it on the screen right now?
I think I can.
No?
Here, let me see.
As you're pulling that up, does that include autoresponders?
Yes, 100% includes autoresponders.
Yeah, fuck yeah. And you know what? Anyone who listened to my advice and did manual follow-up by phone with a follow-up specialist isn't going to be affected by this. So
you took an answer to my question. I was going to throw to you guys. What? Because this is probably a majority of companies. Is
100%. You need to go my way.
Because I even had to do it too, just for some inbound B2B sales. I was like,
just get on the fucking phone.
Well, yeah, it's like just talking on your regular phone and stuff like that. It's pretty effective. Oh, here we go. We're live on the screen share.
We're live on the screen share for anybody. John will read it off for anybody just listening and not watching.
All right. Do not say to people that have not texted you back yet, so like uncontacted sellers, and you're trying to engage with them, the words interested, selling, offer, property, cash, local investor, purchase, looking, mortgage, loan, insurance, debt, and lend.
I feel like these motherfuckers are like just geared to our business.
Yeah,
what about warranty? How come I don't see car warranty on there?
A couple questions. So what if your company name what if you're saying who you are in your auto response message and it has cash or offer or?
Yeah, mine has both, so I'm fucked.
Yeah, you do still have to say your company name, like that is a part of A2P, so I don't have the guidance on that. But these words are definitely kind of being flagged and being watched by the powers that be that made all these rules. So there is a lot. There's a huge list of words. These are the ones specifically that are picked out for real estate investing. So there are other things like warranty and stuff in there, but I just pulled out what is it that an investor is most likely to go in to say. So yeah, these messages will set off spam filters and block your messages. So if you
Yeah.
got a new lead in and you're texting them, like doing the double tap, you call and then you text, don't say these words because it will not be good for you.
I feel like it's in like Ocean's 11 where they're trying to break into a bank or something like that, and there's all those red lasers that you can't hit or the alarm goes off. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's what it's like
yeah.
texting
Yeah.
these
Yeah,
days.
I live that in real life. That's
You
the
do.
story of my life.
I
That's
love that.
that's my life, bro. All the obstacles, just like,
What does one
yeah,
do?
that's
So even branding, but a lot of people have offers or cash or something in their name.
yeah. Like my name is Real Offers Cash. I've also been thinking about changing the name, as a result of all this, like because my name is so spammy. It may not be the best, but I don't know. But again, for follow-ups, it's more about like what I've always been saying is like I've never believed in the text messages because I can never wrap my head around, the generalization of it.
Yeah.
But like we just have a follow-up specialist that just dials like, so we'll resurface our leads based on a certain number of days. And I may not be as good at it as everybody else, but it's like I know everyone else is like very, because I was helping a younger guy out and he was talking about like, oh man, if this is dead, and when I say dead, I don't mean like never gonna call it again. We use dead in a different term, as in like it's out of my salesman's purview and into my admin now, which our admin is like our follow-up specialist. So when it goes dead, like I'll wait. So if someone says no, I decided to keep it, I'm not calling them in 2 weeks. And like I know guys who will, I'll wait 4 months or 3 months, like 6 months, especially depending on the type of lead that it is. So on cold, like predominantly a lot of our stuff was cold call leads. So we're already like 9 months, 12 months out from really pinning them down. There's a lot of follow up with those people. When they say they're not keeping it, you're 9 months or 12 months out from them really considering, because a normal cold call lead could be 3 to 6 months. Then you have someone who's not even ready now, add another 3 to 6 months onto that. Now you're at the 9 to 12 months thing. So if I get you on my first call and you say, nah, I know I talked to them, but me and my husband spoke again last night and we're really thinking about keeping it, we're not ready to move yet, whatever it is, I'm not following up with them in 2 weeks. That's not that type of lead. So we'll resurface them, and then our follow-up specialists will touch base with them in what could be 6 months or 9 months, or just depending on what it is. And we have different categories of those follow-ups, but we do all follow-ups by phone, and we have smartphone where all of our phone numbers are geolocated. So like we'll have, depending on the states that you're in, like we'll have a phone number for almost every state. I'm not nationwide like some companies, so it's easier to do that. And that's our follow-up.
Yeah, I mean, getting somebody outside of door knocking and talking to a person face to face, manually calling somebody on the phone is the best form of follow up.
Bro, dude, did I tell you? So I bought this land. Well, I didn't buy it, but I wholesaled this piece of land in Lakeland to a buddy of mine who's a builder, and there's a lot next to his. And so this guy, they're always the guys who are like, man, like, your word is your bond type thing. So he promised me he would sell me the lot next door when I bought this one, yada, yada, yada. So I bought this one, wholesaled it off. And so I'm calling this guy, not just because I want to buy his lot, but now we have a survey issue I need to clear up with him on a fence line. And it's not a big deal if he sells me this lot. Call him, doesn't pick up. Call him, doesn't pick up. Called his wife, doesn't pick up. What is a motherfucker? Like he always used to pick up for me whenever like we were going through the transaction, always. Or returned my call with a voicemail from him to let me know he called me back. Nothing. You know what I did? I door knocked him.
Nice.
He was so fucking surprised because I didn't leave. So I door knocked, he didn't answer. Door knocked, he didn't answer. Door knocked, he didn't answer. Door knocked, his dog started barking. Door knocked again, dog barking. I heard him moving. Door knocked again. He opened the file. Bro, I was just like, I know you're fucking in there, dude. Like
you were just standing on the doorstep the whole time.
I just stood on his fucking porch because his car's here. He doesn't work. I know this motherfucker's inside. I hear a dog loose. Like, I'm not leaving. Now he opens his door. Oh, he doesn't feel well. He saw me calling, but he's, but like I was calling him for like 2 fucking weeks or more trying to get a hold of him. Meanwhile, I got my buyer, the builder, who's like, bro, I need this fence line taken care of. So door knocking works. Like they are shocked when you just show up because they're dodging your calls, and then you're just like, ha, I'm on your doorstep.
Especially in 2023.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Like when I grew up as a kid with like house phones or before you even needed like an area code, you just go knock on your neighbor's door. Hey, can so and so come play football?
My
Or
neighbor used to do
whatever.
that shit all the time to me. He would just pop in and just be like, "Hey, you want to play?" And I didn't like him. I used to hide behind the couch when he would come, so he wouldn't
So
see
you
that
could
I went
resonate.
in.
You could resonate with this
Yeah,
guy then.
yeah.
You can
No,
resonate
because
with
we
this
had like,
guy.
because we were up on a hill, so like he could see him through like we had like glass like patio doors and stuff, and like I would see him coming. Like I hope Michael's not listening, but bro, like I'm sorry, you were younger. You know when you have a younger neighbor and you're older, like there's
Mhm.
2-3 years of difference. You're just too cool to play with this kid.
Mhm.
I'd be like hiding behind the couch. It's like, no, I don't want to come out and play, bro. Like stop it.
That's so funny.
Oh,
Uh,
that was how it
it's
was.
funny, like I've seen like the whatever the Instagram videos of like when people knocked back in the '90s, like, oh my god, somebody's here! It's so exciting! Let's go answer the door,
Yeah,
see who it is.
I,
And
I
now it's
saw
like
that
people
skit.
knock, and
Yeah.
it's like, run, hide.
You're like,
They were
it's like
fucking
you're like
high.
mute. You're like mute the TV. Everybody's like here, like against like a window, like make sure.
Did you
nobody's
Are
moving.
you expecting somebody? Did you
Yeah.
invite somebody over? Who the
And
fuck
you're like
is this kid
mouthing so
got?
you can't hear it. You're like,
We've done that. We have actually done that in our house. Yeah.
oh yeah.
I mean, you just don't know. But door knocking definitely works. It's not always possible,
Yeah.
given the way we market. And I didn't
Mhm.
want to get out of my comfy little office and go down to this guy's file. I just wanted to pick up his phone so we could fucking talk, and he wouldn't do
Mhm.
that. So I had to go door knock. So
Well, you didn't catch whatever he wasn't feeling good about, but did you solve the fence issue?
I got to go back down there. It's not solved. I mean, he just needs to sign the paperwork on that other lot, and then it'll be fucking solved. But I'm waiting for somebody to die apparently.
Ah,
So
another
it's a
problem.
long fucking story. It's way not even important for this context, but you know how it goes. Like it's just one thing after another, but
Mhm.
it's okay. He knows I'll find him. I'm like
Mhm.
that. I'm like that crazy girl on what is it, Wedding Crashers? I will
I'll
find
find
you.
you.
Yeah,
I was gonna go Liam Neeson from Taken.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
That's a good one.
good stuff.
That's exciting, man. And like we've said, man, it's like you're taking a lot of action, just dialing up these mobiles. Like it's like cutting stones. Like sometimes you don't see the big result until the 100th cut into a stone, like Tony Robbins says. You're taking
Yeah.
good action. I think good things are coming for sure on that, specifically on that front.
I'll get there.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Well,
Any more A2P or texting?
no, that was all the news.
No,
I
that
wanted
was
to
good
bring.
stuff, though. That was
Yeah.
good stuff, and I'll let you know when I get approved.
Yeah, I'd be
But that's
curious
important, man.
what works for you getting through. Next week I will work on some more kind of official like recommendations, postings of what I continue to learn. But website opt-ins and what you text when seller hasn't texted you back seem to be the most important once you get approved. Because what will happen is if they question you, they'll say, "Hey, here's the seller. Prove how they said they wanted you to text them." And if you can't prove that by showing them, here's this website submission with this person's information, and they check the box to be texted. And I'm actually working on a feature in InvestorFuse to bring that over now.
Nice.
And so if they haven't opted in for text messages, I'll just block it inside of the app. Because I spoke to one of our big customers, and they're like, "Man, we text people all day. It's like just a natural instinct. How will we ever know that this person shouldn't be texted?" And I was like, "I'll block it for you automatically. Don't worry."
It's one of those things. What's that old thing? It's like one person ruins it for the many. And listen, I
Yeah.
know it's
Yeah.
not one person, but I feel like this industry and like maybe the auto warranty industry has really fucked the rest of businesses. So like our property management company, so we use Yardi Breeze, and we're switching
Mhm.
over to Rent Manager, which is a more high tech type of thing, like a more tech savvy, and they offer
Yeah.
texting. So Brittany got off the phone with them, and we're not allowed to text our fucking tenants because of this new compliance thing, and because we don't have a specific, so we have a Realovative website which has a tab for property
But
management
it's
at
not
the
the
top.
same business name.
It's
Yeah.
not the same business name with an opt-in, so we can't even mass text our tenants with, maintenance, whatever it is, right? Maintenance, payments, late payments, updates. We can't do that, and we're not even spamming. We're just trying to get a hold of people that live in our buildings, and we can't even do that as a result of this. And
It's
so
crazy.
it has severely messed up. And Brittany had messaged in on the chat here, and she said, "Yeah, we're using our old office phone, which we stopped using because we use all VoIP. We have wiped the dust off of this fucking thing, adapted, and we're now using an old phone that, thankfully, I never let her cancel." So,
Oh, one more thing on not sort of A2P related, but
yeah.
all smartphone customers must submit a business profile in their trust center by next Friday. Just throwing that out there. If you're an InvestFuse customer, you can see messages. If you're a smartphone customer, they're probably already blasting you. But if you don't do that, you won't even be able to call. And again, same thing. People ruin it for the rest of us. Like they're having problems with people signing up for smartphone accounts that aren't real estate investors, aren't legitimate businesses, and they're spamming. And so they're making everybody put in the legal information. So if you don't do that by next Friday, you don't have, I mean, if I don't know why you wouldn't want to text. You don't have to go and register a campaign, but you won't even be able to call or use smartphone if you don't have the business profile filled out, which is like your business legal information.
Right. I'm going to find a way to go buy a basket bin full of burner phones and somehow automate mass dialing off those things so I could continue to spam people.
I really think it'd be curious. Like, I want, if there's somebody out there who's like, this is a huge pain in the butt. I'm having so many troubles. And they're like, I'm just going to buy a Verizon business phone. I want to see if you can text from the get go. And
I could,
like we were talking last week, because like, I wonder if this is the carriers trying to get business.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like our office phone is our Verizon cell phone for the business.
Yeah.
I mean, we text off of it all the time. I just hated using it because it was like I couldn't control it like I could. I could track everything on the VoIP. So like I agree with you. Like it's getting to a point where I'm like, should I just get like another cell phone and just start dialing fuckers off of this thing? Get one for each state. I just got like multiple of like people a tactical belt, but instead of guns and like ammo, it'll just be like cell phones. I got one for Arkansas, Florida, Kansas, fucking Georgia. I'm just like, ha ha.
What happens if both of them are ringing?
They're ringing. I'm like, yeah.
That'd be pretty funny.
I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. I just, it really has hindered our business, and I don't mean it hasn't. The funny thing is, it hasn't hindered our marketing. Hasn't, I mean, because I don't SMS text. It has not stopped our marketing. It has actually stopped our real non-spamming business.
Right.
So they have failed to stop who I spam, and they continue to hinder the people that actually want to talk to me.
Yeah, it's not like you're trying to upsell your tenants. You're just like trying to help them out with like fixing their toilets and.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a toilet fixed, bro.
Yeah,
we're trying to take
not trying to upsell you into another unit or something.
Yeah.
Is there as we're kind of wrapping up the texting stuff? Is there any more texting regulations coming in the near future, or is this kind of it? And once people get everything set up with their business lines and the 10 DLC and everything, like is there anything in the near future that's on the horizon, or like once we get past this, we're like good for a little bit?
Nothing's been announced, but like I don't see this stopping, and that's kind of like the fear out there of the kind of vendor world that I'm in is like this is, some writing on the wall. And when I was speaking to that bigger InvestorFuse customer this week, I told them, I was like, we're at the point where you have to do everything the way these regulations are. Like, don't try to fly under the radar. Don't try to not do them. Like, you have to do it and adapt your business. Otherwise, you'll get completely shut off and things. Yeah. So I can't, in my mind, I'm like, how more restrictive can they get? But what I think will start to occur is, okay, everybody's registered and using it. And now what will start to happen are people like, oh, I'm getting shut down for this reason. And we'll kind of learn that as a collaborative real estate investor world. And, from that, there'll be guidance of, okay, well, here's how we need to start changing our messaging to make sure that we're, able to continue to text people. That's what I think is kind of the next step. But I don't know how they could get more restrictive, but I don't put it past them to come up with something.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it would be like fines or like more fines levied out, but what Papa P was saying is like, that was one of the main bullet points or takeaways from the Launch Control Real Estate Disruptors podcast of like, one person kind of ruining it for everybody. So pretty much the main messaging from that was don't let everybody, don't have bad behavior texting because you're going to root for everybody, and then get into other marketing channels like inbound was their takeaway for how to survive texting. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, everybody listen to John's messages. If you're InvestorFuse customers, smartphone customers, please take those actions well before September 15th or whenever the deadline
Yeah,
is there.
that
We want to be able
September
to.
15th deadline is specifically for smartphone customers. If you want to continue to call, you must put in your business profile information. You should go all the way and can do all the ATP process.
Yeah.
But you must have submitted and completed your business registration, business profile by Friday, September 15th. And then, yeah, we'll see what goes
I
from there.
think, Carlos had me watch the Real Estate Disruptor Sean Terry
Yes.
podcast, and he had been asked a question about regulation or what the future of the industry looks like, and he kind of resonated with what I personally think, and kind of what we've talked about before, is I think regulations are going to come in, and it's actually going to help us because it's going to. And he had said it in a way where it's like not just going to help us, but it's going to limit the way people could do business. So maybe instead of wholesaling, you have to actually close on your deal, right? Like buy it, double close, have the funds, take it down, list it, or sell it to your buyer same day after you physically have the capital, which means that there's a higher barrier to entry. Anytime there's a higher barrier to entry, competition is less. You can actually make more money to do it, which then actually hurts the consumer. I see this kind of like as the phone regulations come in and limit what people can do on texting. And again, I'm not even talking about spamming right now. I'm just literally talking about like your follow-ups, your regular stuff.
Yeah.
You tie that in with regulation in the wholesale industry to begin with, of where wholesaling may at some point become more illegal, where maybe novations, double closing, those are the things that you have to do, which means you can't fly under the radar. Novations, like especially the way Eric Brewer pitches it and all them, is like you really have to be upfront with what you're doing. There's so many documents that are being signed. The hustler and fly by night inexperience, you have to have a TC to handle these things. You have to have the proper training to be able to explain them. You need the relationships to be able to do it. It's not that only a few people could do it. I mean, anyone can, but there's a higher barrier again. So once you start coupling that style of regulation in with the phone regulations in, I think our barrier to entry and to market and to follow up with people becomes more costly, and it limits who could do it. I think it'll wind up opening it up to a certain demographic of investor that is a larger scale, more professional, where having our business profile, right, is not something we're scared of. Whereas before we were really scared. You're dropping RVMs, you're dropping text, you're really scared that you may get in trouble if they find out what business you are and someone comes knocks on your door, you're getting sued, right? I've been sued for violating the do not call registry, right? Like you're worried about that. Like so, but now you're following all these laws. You're paying maybe more money for the way texting is. You got the opt-ins on your TV ads, your radio ads, like the way people call in. Now you have like a pre-recorded message handling your opt-in, which again, if you're a professional company doing everything where you're actually buying it, you're not wholesaling it, you're double closing it, you're novating it, these things don't matter to you. But again, it all costs money to do. You have to be well capitalized. And then the funny thing is, which again, I'm stealing this from Sean Terry. That was my opinion. But then Sean Terry added in where he's like, all these regulations, they end up hurting the consumer. Right. Because by reducing competition, you're reducing the amount of offers. One of the things that, as any wholesaler knows, where we've been fucked with is, two other guys offered me, well, like this one property I'm offering on. We had talked to him and he's like, Zillow says it's worth like 389, 400K. He's like, well, a guy came by and we were at like 300. We were going to novate it. And the guy's like, well, I had a guy come by and he said it's worth 410. I said, did he say he was going to pay it? And he says, yeah. But when he left, he said he wasn't sure and he was going to get back to me. I was like, has he gotten back to you? Like, no. And I'm like, this fucking asshole's ruining it for everybody. But that stuff stops happening. And now they only have the one choice. And now they're like, wait, no other idiot knucklehead has come in. And that happens all the time. These inexperienced people come in, say high prices. I mean, we've done that too, where you just mess up and you say the wrong price. And then
are you saying that's a bad thing or a good thing?
Well, it's bad, but it's good for the consumer because it forces me to offer more money. It's bad for me as a wholesaler right now. But when the regulations come in, those types of people get weeded out. The amount of competition making multiple offers on a property goes down,
Mhm.
which becomes bad for them and good for us, or it reverses. Like yesterday,
Well,
we
I
were
mean,
doing
is
a
it
land
though
deal.
bad for them? Because like most of the time, those things weren't going through anyways, right?
It's,
Maybe.
again, we're
I mean,
speaking
I
very
guess.
general. I'm not saying I would have offered 400, but guess what? He got me to tell him instead of 310, maybe I could come up a couple grand.
Yeah.
Maybe I could come to 315. That extra 5-10 grand. There was one for land where I was at 10, I could have went up to 20. He got one at 18, and I said, "Well, my max I told you before was 19." And he's like, "Oh, you're at 19?" And he's like, "Okay." And again, like that starts to go away
Yeah.
because who's
A
actually
general example, but yeah, I'm with you on that.
general example is what
Yeah.
I'm saying here.
Yeah.
That level of competition goes away. We didn't have that level of competition in 2016, 17, 15, and all that. Then 2019, 2020, it got crazy. And I think
Mhm.
so. I do think regulation is a good thing. I
Mhm.
also, yeah. So anyway, I think the cell phone stuff will do what John said. It'll even out, and I think it'll
Mhm.
make it where it'll be a higher barrier to entry. I think SMS texting marketing will die. I think it'll be a lot more inbound, which is more expensive. I think the business profile, having a brand, professional, all that, I think that'll become the most important thing, more institutionalized buying, but on a localized level. I don't mean on a hedge fund level. I mean on a localized, institutionalized, I mean professional. So,
Mhm. Yeah, it's almost like
but
like everything's resetting to like how it was,
Yeah.
yeah.
before COVID and then before texting was a thing,
Everything
right?
goes full cycle. How many times have you heard that happen? Everything,
Mhm.
dude. But I thought that podcast was very good, Carlos. I did. And that was my one takeaway when they were talking about the future of it. I had an aha moment. I was like, yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think it will happen like that. Maybe not
Mm-hmm.
today, but over the next few years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was a great podcast. I appreciate you guys checking that out.
Probably his best one.
Yeah, it was just cool because Sean Terry's the man. It's definitely a
OG.
little nostalgic because that was my first assignment from Dan, was listening to Sean Terry's podcast to learn it,
Oh, really?
10 years ago. Um, it was awesome too. I mean, he was on Investor Fuse for a good bit of time. So me and Dan went to his office before and was like showing his team how to use it. He mentioned in the podcast of like after one of the failures or time he quit, he's like, yeah, I switched to another CRM, a long time CRM that's been around. But he didn't mention he left Investor Fuse. I was like, oh man, it'd have been nice if he stayed on Investor Fuse. But it was cool. I mean, a couple bullet point things. I'm going to start with something Papa P brought up earlier. Is Sean Terry, and again, like this is a very like transparent and humbling thing because he's one of the most well-known wholesaling people the
Yeah.
last 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how Instagram is bad for fear
Yeah.
of missing out and the perception that it gives people of which you don't even realize it, which is so interesting about the mind. Like so much, most of the stuff going on in your head is subconscious. You don't know what's going on. But
Yeah.
if you're seeing all this stuff, hundreds of people a day of, oh man, I did this check, or like Papa P talks about like, oh, I raised $10 million for my 400 unit apartment. And I'm just adding this to my portfolio.
Yeah.
Sean Terry is even feeling the negative effects of that. And he's
Yeah,
a
he said that.
massive, so imagine somebody that's been trying to wholesale their first deal for 6 months, texting and cold calling. Now they got to deal with this. Like it's probably to the 100th degree for that person. So I agree. And I feel similarly with Instagram. I definitely take it off my phone, not necessarily for that, but just like kind of living in the real world and not.
I haven't been on Instagram in a month. I think I deleted it because I was feeling that too.
Yeah, it's just like, man, living in the real world and the focus, like the focus on yourself. But I definitely know the benefits, and I go on and off it. But it was pretty cool and humbling to hear Sean Terry talk, pretty much making the point that Papa P was talking about to start this this episode. So it's good, and you can connect with people, but focus on you. And shout out to Papa P for keeping it real on there. I mean, like Papa P's like, okay, I have this park, I'm turning and have tenants in, but I'm getting rejected on these offers and still.
I really thought I was getting that one. Really thought I was getting that one. But yeah, and the other humbling thing. So like I never knew who Sean Terry was until a couple of years ago. Like that's not again. I lived in a very
a couple of years ago,
bro. Never. You got to understand. Like I didn't even understand the concept of like going out there and listening to people. Everything I learned was self-taught or like from somebody here local in the market. Because back in 2009, like we didn't have all that shit. And then like I just grew accustomed to talking to people locally, figuring it all out. It wasn't until I got into the wholesale Instagram space 2017-ish that I actually heard of who he was. But like there's immediate respect because the motherfucker goes all the way back to like 2003 or something. And it's like anybody, and it goes to that ultimate philosophical question I always speak of, and I was asking Steve Trang when he was on, is like, what matters more, money or experience? And like, to me, it's experience, because I think that outweighs money any day of the week.
Oh yeah.
Especially if they know how to make money with that experience. But and Sean Terry has that in spades, because going back to what I was saying, what I took from it was, with that experience that I respect, was the humbling aspect of how many times he thought to quit, but didn't. And that's the important thing. It's not that no one gives a shit that you think to quit. It matters whether you do or not. And the fact that like he admitted that he was like 3 times, like even as most recently as like 2019 when he was gonna, and then he started talking to Nick Perry, and then to do national, and even after that, like he was failing at national, like wholesaling, because he was trying to dispo himself, right? Which is different now. Now you don't even have to dispo yourself. But in 2019, we didn't have the JV
Dispo
partner. I'll dispo your deal. Like, so the cycles and markets change so much that just because it's easy for you today doesn't mean us who were doing it before, we didn't have those same benefits. So Sean Terry trying to nationwide dispo all by himself. Now I saw Nick post that he'll dispo your deal nationwide for you. So you don't even need a dispo team. And the fact that he went through that and thought about quitting, I was like, damn, like here's this guy who's been in it that long. And like he thought about stopping wholesaling, not quitting real estate. At that point, it wasn't quitting real estate. It was quitting wholesaling. The other 2 times was about quitting real estate. Because, bro, that one comment where he was like on the hook, where he had like a $3-4 million deal he was flipping for 12 million or something, and like the day
people backed out.
I was like,
wait, what? Is this one house or is this like an apartment?
This was a development deal in Arizona in 2000. I'm gonna mess it up. 2007, from a big developer, and the market was crashing, and they just didn't close, and he was gonna make like whatever it was, 2, 3, 4 mil, like himself off the deal, and then like that fell. Could you imagine that? I mean, I've had deals fall out.
That's a big deal.
But yeah, that's not a $20,000 or $50,000 assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was like the first step that now in hindsight, or Monday morning quarterbacking, it's like, oh crap, like the market was going to take a tank. I had a bunch of takeaways. I think it's interesting, and like I think everything happens for a reason, for sure. But it's interesting, like he had some failures from the market crashing. He wasn't like super knowledgeable on everything going on. Like he talked about like quantitative easing and housing affordability, like the meter that he talked about. And that really gave him a good positioning and understanding of market cycles and when to ramp things up or when to analyze to do a different strategy, or like think about, your big play, which I think is applicable for anybody that listens to that podcast. You can do some reflecting and think about like, what's a big play I can make in my life depending on what's going on right now, kind of skating to the puck, if you will, is the term. So for you guys, just to jam on, Sean Terry is very bearish on the real estate market coming up for a few factors. Some, I think Papa P would probably know the best, but some of them was the housing affordability meter, which pretty much like on the scales of example, he said like, I think like 100 or 120 is like really, really good when houses are really affordable. And then 70 is like when it's really, really bad. And right now, or at the time of that episode a couple of weeks ago, it was at 65. So it's essentially really, really hard to get into a loan to get a house. But what he's starting to see, which is I think before the Steve Trang episode that Papa P shared with us, was like Zillow and other companies essentially making it more easy to get mortgages is kind of what happened as well, where it's like, hey, let's get unqualified people into mortgages, but then the market's going to go down. So these people are paying mortgages for houses that aren't as valuable. They're paying, debt or loan on a 450 house that's now worth 400, for example. And then the quantitative easing as well. And then also the stock indicator. So he just has so much stuff that he's...
What's quantitative easing?
Quantitative easing is what the Fed does as they're trying to relieve the pressure from the economy. Essentially, it's how they're raising interest rates. quantitative tightening is raising, easing is lowering. But yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So between all those things, I kind of imagine Sean Terry, just from the experience he's gone through, he's almost like Tom Cruise in Minority Report or Iron Man, like moving stuff around. He has all these different
He's like
indicators.
precog, yeah.
Yeah, he has the housing affordability, the stock market, what the Fed is
But
doing
it's
quantitatively.
true though. It's true though, and like I made a post because I saw fucking what's his name from Bigger Pockets. Guy's a fucking idiot, but like he's got a platform and he's like house prices isn't going down. I don't see it happening, and it's like and I made a post like and I was refuting it. I'm like all I do is watch the market. I may not be the biggest investor out there, but like I literally while dialing and hunting things, combing the fucking market.
Mm-hmm.
I get alerts to my phone for everything. Local market, vacation markets. I'm seeing price drops all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
All over the place. One of my house, not on my house, on my street, dropped $100,000 after sitting for months. I'm seeing things sit and drop multiple times. I've seen new builds drop multiple times. And the funny thing is when they do it, it's like I'll get like 7 alerts because they'll have like 7 houses on one street, and they're like price drop, price drop, price drop. I'm like, fucker, get your cookie cutter out of here. But like, and again, now I was talking to a buddy of mine. There's still areas that are not declining, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your highly sought after areas. I don't think people with money are hurting, but I think the average median consumer, 100%. I agree with Sean Terry, and that guy in Bigger Pockets is retarded. I don't know what data he's looking at, but prices are 100% declining because they are unaffordable. Doesn't matter if we don't have supply. So everyone uses supply as their reasoning.
Yeah, if nobody's going to buy because their interest
if you don't
rates
have
is like,
fucking money, you can't buy it, bro. You could have 2 houses on the market, but if I don't have a fucking nickel to rub together, yeah. And so that's the thing. And so, like, I do agree with Sean Terry. I think, and we've talked about it before, like, I have told family members, like, I'm not a financial advisor, but I have advised them, like, protect your assets, get out of the stock markets. I definitely think it's coming. You can't predict when. But Sean Terry was saying 15 to 18 months from earlier this year. So he's saying, like, the beginning of is when mass layoffs, this whole thing was happening. He's saying he believes mass layoffs are going to happen, right, Carlos?
Yep. Yeah, and also predicting a black swan event, whether it's another wave of COVID or some type of
they're already
natural disaster, or you can kind of taste something is going on or sense something is going on, whether it's COVID or some type of earth thing that happens with the climate or food shortage, or there's some strings that they could
you pick it, bro. Is it going to be a fucking laser fire cause where if you're not blue, you die? Is it going to be a toxic spill in a river? Is it going to be a chicken coop caught on fire, a dairy farm caught on fire? I don't know. What's it going to be? We're not going to be able to buy toilet paper anymore. Is it going to be a mass mandate, a shutdown? Like, they have pulled out all the fucking stops, dude. So you could pick. But I have read that they're talking about another shutdown for a pandemic. I read that there's a couple places already mandating masks.
In California, I think.
Yeah. I love how you just knew that. Yeah. Bruh. Where else but fucking California?
That's where it's going to start.
Somebody needs to just like take a giant fucking saw and just cut that motherfucker off the U.S. and let it drift into the fucking ocean and let all the heathens fucking just writher in their sin and just leave us the fuck alone. Okay, and stop coming to our states. Just go. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that could be the black swan. I think that could be it that causes the layoffs that Sean Terry talks about, that then causes the supply to come, that then causes people to not be able to afford to buy that supply. I've been saying, we did a podcast a year ago about credit card debt, and living paycheck to paycheck. It's gotten even worse.
Yep.
So the big play off that, with Sean Terry anticipating this, which, I mean, I trust his judgment for how much he watches the market, and he's been through that stuff for. So he's like a hawk watching all this stuff. His big play is potentially, or just an idea of his, was the upcoming foreclosure market, because of all these jobs if all these job layoffs happen, all these people need to sell or they can't pay their mortgage. then there's an influx of inventory that comes in. And that's when the people
Yeah.
that are either have the specialized knowledge in acquisitions or the systems and processes set up to do real estate acquisitions or the knowledge to do stuff subject to or other things creatively, which is something I want to ask you about, Papa P, from towards the beginning of that episode. Those people are positioned. So I think that's definitely a big play. Everybody's been kind of waiting on a foreclosure thing since the first COVID when they kicked the
can down the road.
They kicked the can down the road on that. So I mean,
it is happening. Like I know investors that are doing really well with foreclosures right now.
Yeah,
in certain markets.
So I agree. I think that's a big play. I was going to ask you too, Papa P. What did you think about? I thought it was interesting where he was talking about how he first built up a really big portfolio in the beginning. I think was that the first.
Yeah, that was the first.
The first trailer where he built up like 150 rental portfolio of sub 2 properties. Before sub 2 was a well-known thing.
Made a shit ton of money, and that's when he got into the land, and that's when he lost everything.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting too. And that towards the end of the episode, and then it sounded like that's something that is a potential big play if you want to build up like a sub 2 portfolio whenever this influx of, foreclosures comes in the market or something you work on now.
I think that's definitely the case. The problem is like the equity. Like he also made a statement that he thinks that the difference is there'll still be equity. I don't necessarily believe that. I believe in a bigger event happening than what he was saying. I don't believe there will be equity. I believe the housing market will correct. It's nature, in my belief. It's more not stats driven. Like I don't have graphs to reference or data to reference. To me, it's just nature. What goes up must come down. I feel like there's too much glutton out there. Like it needs to be cleansed. I think we're going to have a very drastic hit. But here's a couple tips. So I survived the last one. I didn't survive it because I wasn't in it before, but I made a shit ton of money. If you're a realtor, sign up with every company that does servicing. You could do BPOs for them. That was a huge thing. I was doing like 300 BPOs a month. I had a whole team doing them. That was the first thing. If you're an agent, you could sign up. You have to pay, but you could sign up for a lot of REO platforms to try to get it in with the servicing companies and the banks. I don't think the banks do it so much like they did back in the day. I think they all use servicing companies now, the way technology is. So like you could definitely sign up. Same thing, hedge funds and large portfolio holders use these servicing companies, and they're going to need to be revaluing their assets, which means they're going to be ordering BPOs or selling them off, which then they look for agents in their territories in their software to sell them. That was how I made a lot of money, was being an REO agent. So like there's definitely ways, short sale, becoming proficient in short sales and trying to do that. There's many ways as an agent that you can make money, even as an investor if you partner with agents. I guess you could technically help them with a short sale, even if you're not a realtor. If you're the end buyer and you have their approval, you could technically do that. So there's lots of ways to survive those types of things if you have the skill set, which again goes to what I'm saying is like it gets rid of a lot of people because you do need to be skilled, not just being able to spam people and grab it. You have to know how to handle a transaction or be a licensed agent to handle it. And the banks don't just pick anybody. The banks do not just pick anybody. They're going to want to see the experience. They're going to want to see that you have the ability to handle their assets.
Specialized.
Good advice. I remember when the other co-founder of InvestorFew started wholesaling, he bought a program. So this is maybe 2009, 2010. So I guess like shortly after the 2008 cycle. REO Rockstar by Preston Ely, if you're familiar with that.
I never did it, but I've heard.
So that would be interesting from your perspective. If you were, back in the day, if you were doing REOs where you would work with a wholesaler, that's essentially just bringing in wholesaling your property to an end buyer.
No. If I was an REO agent, what would I do? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying I'm just making a statement that would be an interesting perspective of working with a wholesaler to sell that deal. Like for you as the REO agent.
Yeah, but you wouldn't. I would double end it. But yeah, you would definitely be double ending it with a wholesaler. But I ended up selling to wholesalers without knowing that I was selling.
That's what I think the majority is happening.
Yeah, I didn't know what a wholesaler was back then. Yeah. I was legitimately, I had no fucking idea what a wholesaler was. I remember I had a guy back out of one of my deals, and I now know he's a wholesaler because I've run into him. But I didn't know. This was like 2013. I didn't know he was a wholesaler, and he gave me the line like, "Hey, we can't go forward. We decided to only buy these other 2 properties and not yours. So we don't have enough funds in the bank account to buy all 3 of them. And I believed him. I was pissed. And then I understood. He just never found a buyer for it. I didn't know I was selling to wholesalers, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the RIO agents probably don't know who they're actually working with, which is funny.
But anyway, those are ways that you could definitely make some money. I think in the market, there's definitely going to be stuff to do. But I'd watch the Sean Terry app for sure. I sent it to my wife, and she watched it. She liked it too. It was a very motivational thing, and just showing you that even those types of people have doubts with what they're doing sometimes, and you just got to keep pushing forward, and obviously keep it going. And obviously it worked out for him. He's still pushing. So, but those are the type of people you want to learn from. Like, what bothers me is like, I don't want to learn from the people who've only, like, everyone mistakes this. And this is just my opinion, but it's like, I struggle, I become rich. I now use my earlier struggle to sell the people to listen to me because I'm rich now. No, because you haven't struggled. I just want to clear the air. 99% of people struggle before they're successful. That does not, no matter what it is, whether you're from the ghetto, whether you're from a middle class home, whether you were a drug addict, whether you were a fat person, whatever you had to overcome, everybody in the world had to overcome a similar thing to them in their own universe to make it successful. That doesn't make you special. What makes you special is after you become successful, then failing, then picking yourself up, then succeeding, then failing, picking yourself up. That's called experience. And then when you do it again and again, that turns into wisdom. That's the difference. And too many fucking people think that, oh my God, this guy started at the bottom, he's rich, let me buy his course. Fuck that. That's not the guy you want to learn from. I want to go learn from
Could have
someone
been a
like
strategy he learned 10 years ago, and he still thinks it's valid.
Exactly. I want to learn
Not
from
gonna name
Sean
names.
Terry. Yeah, I know. Sean Terry, or somebody who's like, bro, like, I succeeded, I made millions, I've lost millions, I did it again, fuck that up, how to do it again, learn from that. That's the person, because I see them winning and losing.
Yeah.
That to me is so very important, and somebody that I want to take advice from. I don't think you struggling in the beginning amounts to anything. I think it's the entry fee. You pay the entry fee to get into the game, bro.
Keep going.
Yeah.
So what's he finding success in now? I haven't watched the interview. What's he finding success in now?
He's still doing national wholesaling. Still
doing. Oh, he is doing national still.
Well, he's doing what was the acronym? I brought up the pre-show. It's like RBV or RBF.
RPB, but it's Novation.
RPB.
Yeah. So we were talking
he's
about
doing national novations. Nationwide innovation.
Yeah, I don't see why that would be a problem. They call it the RPB program, but he referred to it, he correlated or compared it to Novation, so I'm assuming that's the same thing. But yes, I'm not 100% certain because I don't pay for that mastermind. But his whole thing was to get them on the MLS.
Yeah.
And that was what that is. So I'm pretty sure we were talking about it on Tuesday in our pre-show for all of our listeners wondering why we just hopped off on that little tangent. Carlos and I were trying to figure out what he meant by that. But yeah, and he's just succeeding and getting ready. I think he said he's preparing for what Carlos was saying about the pre-foreclosure glut that's going to come. It's going to open up.
Yeah. Very interesting. Cool. We're about out of time here. Anything to wrap up on that?
No, we got someone here that says, hey, how may I donate? I don't know if that's legitimate. I don't know if that's legit dash wins. We appreciate you, brother, I'm going to assume. Dude, just like and subscribe and forward it off to some people. That'll help us the most. Don't need the money, but we do need we need the likes and the subscribes. And send me any mobile home park leads that you got.
There you go.
I will pay a fee. I will pay a fee. All right, guys.
Very cool. All right, well, we'll see you all next week. Lock and load. Have a great weekend, everybody. It's pouring in here in Florida.
Is it?
Or in Orlando, sorry. Not the whole state of Florida is not covered by a storm. That'd be a black swan event. Lee out there in the Gulf. No, the Atlantic.
Yeah.
I need to go eat lunch is what I need to do because my brain has stopped functioning.
We'll see you next
All right, guys.
Lock and load.
See you all next week.
See you guys.